Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Before watching the video, please subscribe to my channel. Today we will discuss about Top 10 Political Crises to Watch in 2022. 10. Mozambique. Humanitarian needs rise rapidly as insurgency intensifies. Total population is 31.3 million and people in need of aid are 1.3 million. The number of people in need in Mozambique has nearly doubled as an insurgency grips a country still struggling to recover from two powerful cyclones that struck in 2019. The rapidly escalating conflict in the northern Cabo Delgado province has pushed Mozambique not just onto the emergency watch list for the first time, but straight into the list's top 10 countries of most concern. 9. Venezuela. COVID-19 compounds years-long economic crisis. The collapse of Venezuela's oil industry has been a key factor in a deepening economic crisis that has devastated the country's health system and caused widespread hunger and displacement. COVID-19 restrictions have left Venezuelans stuck in limbo, unable to leave the country to seek safety and services, while lockdowns elsewhere are forcing those who had already left Venezuela to return. 8. Nigeria. Conflict and famine risk in the northeast. Even after a decade of conflict that has uprooted nearly 3 million people and left millions more facing a hunger crisis, violence is still growing in northeast Nigeria. Civilians are bearing the brunt of the conflict. Nigeria was the deadliest crisis for civilians in 2020 out of all 20 emergency watch list countries. It remains a challenging place for aid workers to provide humanitarian assistance. 7. South Sudan. Recovery from civil war at risk. South Sudan's high emergency watch list ranking is driven by widespread humanitarian needs and a fragile peace deal that could unravel under the additional strain of COVID-19. A new unity government took office in early 2020. It faces the challenge of leading the country's recovery from civil conflict amid unrelenting violence, an economic crisis, and now an unprecedented pandemic in one of the world's weakest health systems. 6. Burkina Faso. The world's fastest-growing displacement crisis. Just 2 years ago, Burkina Faso faced virtually no mass conflict or displacement. It entered the emergency watch list for the first time last year and is now ranked at 6. The escalating conflict is driving steep increases in humanitarian need, and with the economic impact of the COVID-19 crisis, the risk of famine. Over 1 million people are now internally displaced in Burkina Faso, more than double the number at the start of 2020. Yemen. Unrelenting conflict and risk of famine. Yemen tops the IRC's annual emergency watch list for the third year running. Over 5 years of major armed conflict, severe underfunding, and now the COVID-19 crisis have pushed the humanitarian response to the brink of collapse in 2020. 80% of the population is in need of aid. Yemenis tell the IRC they worry more about hunger than COVID-19, as the pandemic deepens the country's economic crisis, and with no political resolution in sight, Yemen faces the risk of famine. 4. Democratic Republic of Congo. Unprecedented hunger crisis. There are now more people facing a severe hunger crisis in the Democratic Republic Congo than has ever been recorded in any country. Congo ranks in the emergency watch list top 5 for the third year in a row, reflecting persistent volatility in a country that is now in its fourth decade of a major humanitarian crisis. On top of large-scale violence, Congo also has had to grapple with outbreaks of Ebola and COVID-19. 3. Syria, the deadliest place for humanitarians. The year 2021 marks a decade of conflict in Syria, as violence, displacement, and humanitarian needs continue to grow. Syria is also the deadliest country in the world for humanitarians. Attacks on aid workers, civilians, homes and hospitals remain common. Many families have been uprooted multiple times. The health system has been decimated, undermining Syrians' ability to cope with the challenges of COVID-19. 2. Afghanistan. Stalled peace process under threat. Afghanistan has risen to second on the emergency watch list because of its high exposure to the triple threats of conflict, COVID-19 and climate change, as well as uncertainty over the stalled peace process between the government and the Taliban. Even after 4 decades of crises, humanitarian needs in Afghanistan, are growing rapidly amid the pandemic and unrelenting violence, with the number of people requiring aid for 2021 nearly doubling compared to early 2020. Ethiopia, new conflict threatens the region. On the emergency watch list for the third year running, Ethiopia enters 2021 with a major confrontation underway in the northern Tigray region between the federal government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. At the same time, climate change, the biggest locust outbreak in living memory, and the COVID-19 pandemic all drive up the number of people in need to the second highest in the world. That's all for today. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.